everybody, good morning. We are here with Greywood Developments, and we have Patrick Briscoe, who is the VP of Development, and Heather Lloyd, who is the VP of Sales and Marketing in town, joining us for our meeting. So thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
You are welcome. So one of the reasons that we wanted to have them on today is because a huge conversation in our offices, on our Facebook pages, in our huddles is development. And there's a lot of development going on in Calgary right now. There's a lot of new projects coming up. It's a pretty competitive environment, but there's also a lot of amazing new residential spaces available. And I know that a big part of your guys' job is to kind of keep your finger on the pulse with what's going up and who it's being targeted towards and pricing and developers as well, especially as we head into the slower season. You guys are always coming up with really cool, engaging marketing strategies to keep eyeballs on these projects, which you guys can all relate to because in slower months, you guys also have a lot of listings that you guys need to keep eyeballs on. So hopefully Patrick and Heather, you guys can give us a few tips on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So welcome to the show. So first of all, we have people are asking questions about the economy all the time. There's mixed news where actually by the time this airs, so this is obviously pre-recorded, but election results will be in.
That's right.
So that'll be interesting. But for now, based off the way things are today, what's the development market like in Calgary?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very exciting time in the new development market in Calgary. We've seen quarter-over-quarter increases in sales, year-over-year increases in sales in the new condo market. And to clarify, we, Greywood, are involved in the new condo sales market in Calgary, so that's what we keep our tabs on. But there are a lot of new projects coming out in Calgary that are very different and new for the city. So we're seeing exciting areas like the University District, like the West District, golf course redevelopments, and very innovative projects in suburban greenfield communities that are giving the Calgary purchaser a lot of choice, a lot of innovation, and a lot of cool locations to live. So we're seeing a lot of big steps in the Calgary development market to provide new product to Calgarians that is really leading edge across Canada.
You know what? I remember years and years and years ago, my family's not from Toronto, but I have family that live in Toronto. And my cousin lives in a very highly compacted area with lots of condominium style apartments.
High density.
High density.
High density.
Thank you. I'm not a realtor. High density. And they had such cool stuff. And at that time, we really didn't. And in the last couple of years, the amenities and the locations and the building designs, you're right. Like, as far as Calgary goes, we're really, I don't know if catching up is the right word, but there's fun stuff. There are fun places to live here, which I don't think typically 10 years ago we had a ton of.
No, that's true. I think the focus on amenities inside buildings has definitely taken precedent with the upcoming millennial demographic who are looking towards renting. A lot of the rental projects around Calgary are focusing on amenities in their building. And a lot of these leading edge communities, including some of our own, are focusing themselves in great locations centered around retail, entertainment, parks, and some of the best amenities that you would want to offer your new purchaser.
Yeah, and that's fun too because it makes communities way more fun when you actually start moving people into these areas that have fun restaurants and shopping, because for such a long time, Calgary, we just don't have a ton of that. So that's really fun. Cool.
So let me Heather, answer this, because you obviously on the sales side of it.
Yeah.
If someone asks you the question about like, is now a good time to buy and to get into it, what's your response to that?
I mean, I feel like now's a great time to buy. It's a buyer's market, as we know.
Agree.
So I think that there's a lot of great opportunities out there for buyers in Calgary in particular. I think that there is also a lot of opportunity for investors out there to be able to find units that kind of efficiently cash flow for them. So yeah, overall, that's typically my answer.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you mentioned, Patrick, too, that amenities are really in demand right now. Mm-hmm. As far as other building styles go, and we'll be able to talk a little bit about some stuff that you guys are looking at, and I know that you've done a ton of research into the types of projects you're building, but what are people, and I guess in Calgary, in central southern Alberta specifically, what is in demand the most? Like the stuff that would fly off the shelf first. Is it a square footage thing? Is it a location thing?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, really, location
Yeah.
still is key. And really, we're seeing price points dominating the market right now. So good value, people taking advantage of great incentives, and that paired with the lifestyle that the buildings provide. So, as far as amenities go, we are seeing a big drive to fitness or location to parks. So kind of that active lifestyle in Calgary. Calgary is typically very active. People like to spend their time outside when it's nice out. So that location that is key to parks and to support that active lifestyle is driving sales in certain locations.
Yeah, I'd also say that the location almost drives the amenities as well. Like if we've got a great location, then it's not as important for the building to have such phenomenal, crazy amenities. And I think today's buyer is so much more educated in all of the bits and pieces that go together in purchasing a condo. So they understand that huge amenities can actually cost the buyer so much more. Whereas if they're well thought through, actual usable amenities, and they live in a neighborhood that offers them restaurants and fitness and all these great things, it's not necessary to have it in the building. So I know we're really mindful of that when we're creating these amenities and these packages in our building.
And we're going to talk about one of your locations in Kensington, which knocks out of the park.
We say
accessibility and stuff.
We say it's like the best location in Calgary. And we truly believe it. So we'll say that over and over again today.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about marketing, because there are a lot of projects and there are a lot of listings. Residentially, we've had a year with an insane number of residential listings, so it's super competitive. So all of our realtors have been kind of fighting tooth and nail to come up with brilliant creative ideas to get more people to come through these properties, just get more exposure online. What have you guys been doing, or not even if you haven't done, but just conversations that you guys are having within your team that are unique ways for you to get more people involved in these projects?
For us, it's really about kind of thinking outside of the box. It's about engagement and coming up with just new and creative ideas that don't just isolate us to one specific demographic, that really broaden us out to the end user, the downsizer, the first-time buyer, the move-up buyer. And so, for example, at the theater, we have our very big deal program. It's got 3 different packages. It caters to each one of those groups with different incentives for each of those groups. And then with that, it's kind of the access to that information and making sure it's clear to everybody. So offering seminars. We do a lot of seminars. In fact, at our community at Fish Creek last night, we had a downsizer seminar. We bring in specialists to downsize. It was very engaging. It's highly informative. It becomes a bit more of a one-on-one kind of question and answer experience. And I think buyers really appreciate that. I think they're hungry for a one-on-one experience with professionals and people who understand real estate, especially in this market that can seem a little bit uncertain to people. So they like that I guess, knowledge and understanding of what's happening.
Right. No, that is really nice. We have some agents that will do similar things from the seminar perspective.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just educational, and it's not even about the listing itself. And that we've had great comments for the success that you guys have had on that. So it makes sense that you would.
It's funny that you say that, because we will often say that around the table, that if it's not necessarily about somebody buying with us immediately, it's about them feeling comfortable with us and wanting to come back to us. So we're not looking to hard sell people. We're looking for people to be comfortable purchasing their home, which is the biggest investment people will ever make in their lives. Well, most people. So we're really fortunate, I guess.
Yeah, that's good.
Almost an extension of that. Tell me about how, and you nailed this earlier, you were talking about how best location in the city for the theater project. When you're communicating that value across, obviously seminars makes it where they feel comfortable with you guys as a company. It's good. They can transition that lifestyle. People like people that educate them. When you're communicating the value to a purchaser, what are some of those talking points? What's that? How are you saying, you know what, this is the building you should be in, or what does that look like a little bit? And is it the location? Because even talking about how you can have it where buildings are amenity rich, you have higher condo fees, you have things like that. So what we do is strategically place in a location, and therefore you're not bearing the cost of those things. We're talking about price point being obviously a huge factor right now in today's marketplace. So give me some of that. When you're communicating that value across, the purchaser comes in and is like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you guys focus on?
I think, for us, it really depends on the building.
Obviously.
For our projects, we feel like we have really phenomenal locations. We're talking a lot about Kensington today, but Fish Creek is also a phenomenal location on transit next to the Fish Creek Provincial Park. And that's kind of a Greywood standard overall. Like, it's about transit-oriented communities. That's what we really try and focus on. So I think for our two projects specifically, a lot of the value is wrapped up in the location. Kensington is literally steps from the LRT. It's steps from the Safeway grocery store, Riley Park, Second Cup, restaurants, Orange Fitness, Orange Theory. You name it. It's so close to everything. And then probably, I think, like a 6-minute drive downtown. So I think the value for Kensington in particular is really the location. On top of that, it's about Greywood. Greywood, we've been around for 30 years. We built the Ritz-Carlton in Toronto, hotel and residences. We have yeah, it's one of our landmark buildings there.
That's a heck of a feather to cap.
That's why we throw it out there,
We're good enough for Ritz-Carlton.
That's right.
Are we good enough for you?
We have a number of other high-rise communities in the downtown core, a number of them coming up that are yet to hit the market. We have done a number of heritage preservations, including Wonder Condos, which we launched last year, which was taking the old Weston bread factory, so where your Wonder Bread was made, and converting that into a loft conversion with new condos and towns. So we know what we're doing, and to kind of like spiral from that, it kind of comes down to just that. It's about design and looking through the suite mix and the layouts and looking at our demographic and understand who are we talking to and what do they really want and what type of finishes do they want. And that is a very a labor of love, shall we say. We go through a lot of meetings going through suite design and product and finishes just to make sure we're hitting the mark and that we don't come to the market with something that people are not going to like.
Can I just speak to something for a second? And this is almost getting to the next question here, but notice when they're talking about, and they move a lot more volume than an individual realtor, they're selling the lifestyle that's associated to that. It's like, you're close to this Orange Theory, and not yet have you said, okay, well, we have these 1 bedrooms that are X amount of square feet, and this, that, and it's like, and those are important to people, like the features within there, but you guys just talked about the benefits, the feeling that you get of being there, a quality company, you can have trust in what you're buying, and that it's been well thought through. Even that alone, of just like, someone has thought about this from a perspective of what building needs to be in this location and who are we marketing this to, and that, speaks to lifestyle. That's more thought than a lot of buyers put into their own decisions sometimes. They have a feeling about it, but to have the trust that you've nailed that. And I think realtors could do a better job of that with their own listings. Talking about that. We focus too much on, okay, well, this has a bonus room, and all those things are important as you get further down. But when you're choosing the location, the people you're going to trust, the builders you're going to choose, I think that makes a big difference.
Well, it's hard too, because especially in a market right now where there are so many resale condominiums on the market, even residential detached, there's so much on the market that if your comparables are square footage and number of bedrooms and the fact that the countertops are made of this, there's just too many, right? Like, you could probably put 200 different units that on paper would be exactly the same, almost from a finishing, sizing standpoint, that to focus on that brings too many other options into the picture.
Focus on that sold. Obviously that's important.
It is important.
But there's a lot of listing descriptions out there where I look at what people are writing and
gleaming hardwood floors.
And that's the listing description, right? Like, they don't focus on everything that you're talking about, which is at the end of the day, like, that is what's going to make such a big difference in your life.
Well, and that's just it.
Like I want to live in Kensington right now. Well, and I have no idea what those units even look like. Like, just talking about that, it's like, regardless of the unit, like, that life sounds really nice.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we haven't touched on, which we try to educate our purchasers on, is really the condo fees and operations of the building. So for new builds around Calgary, with the efficiency of buildings, we see some of our condo fees being significantly lower than already existing buildings that have been around for 5, 10, 15 years. So on a operations basis, or for a new purchaser, their fees will be lower month to month in a new building that we would offer. And then second to that, we do constant comparisons to location and amenities for how those condo fees are set up. So our building's premium location, lower condo fees because less amenities as a big building with a gym and a pool and things that cost a lot of money to operate.
And then 5 to 10 years from now, when like the pool needs to be redone, and then it gets really expensive.
Yeah, so it's kind of a constant education process. Our sales team are educated on the competition. Our mandate is to transfer that on to the purchaser to make them aware of what the competition is doing and what you could expect for full fees and obligations that you would have in a new condo building.
That's great.
Perfect. So winter months. Give some tips to realtors. What do you think they can do? And I know you're not necessarily in that resale game on the side, but I mean, even lots of them do work with newer inventory as well. So what do you do to keep listings active and keep the word out there? And it could be a repeat of some of the stuff you've already said, but advice for realtors in winter months.
I think it kind of goes back, like you said, to a lot of what we've talked about. It's about engagement. It's about that one-on-one connection. It's about kind of like getting them excited about their life in a certain neighborhood or the vision of their future kind of thing. So I think it really does. I mean, where we've seen a lot of success is kind of, like I said, those seminars or even having private appointments. We've done roundtables at the Theodore to speak directly to downsizers. So I think that would probably be like my biggest piece of advice. I don't know if Patrick did it.
Yeah, I think what we have tried to do is really partner with local businesses.
Yeah, that's true.
Do day giveaways. So, come by our presentation center, even though you are not in the market, but come get a card for a cup of coffee in Kensington, for instance.
Great idea.
And they might know somebody. People want
idea.
people to live near them and want their friends. It's like, hey, here are somebody looking. They might never know how that's going to.
Well, even people from out of town, like we talk about the neighborhood, but there's only so much we can tell them about it. Like they really have to experience it for themselves. So if there's some way that we can help them with that, then we're going to help them with that and send them off for like a nice dinner or something like that to get them engaged.
Yeah. So one of our test cases or one of our initiatives that we did when we launched the Theodore, for instance, was we did a taste of Kensington. So partnered with Curiosity Calgary, who's a large, I guess, Instagram, social media influencer. We partnered with restaurants to provide a set plate that is sponsored by our project. And you only have to do is register for our project and you get access to that secret menu in Kensington.
Nice.
Isn't that fun?
That's a great idea.
It was very successful. I mean, social media is so crazy these days, but our numbers just like shot right up as soon as we started doing it.
And even if, and you'll do stuff that doesn't work. It's like you hold a seminar, one person shows up and you're like, oh, expected that to be better.
Right.
But the point is you're doing stuff. I mean, even if it's just, the tip for realtors a lot of times, and everything you're talking about is amazing, collaborate in the community. People love people that love their community. And the one thing I always say is just do something, try something, right?
Well, just on that point, I mean,
there.
like you said, when you have seminars, we will often invite, many people to seminars. We'll get maybe 10 RSVPs and maybe 5 people show up. And I think like we talk a lot about not getting discouraged about that because those are 5 people that would not have been there otherwise.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't have had that one-on-one connection. And generally speaking, we get some good leads out of them. So whether it's 1 or 2, it's something. And so it's kind of chipping away at all these ideas. And although the one-on-one approach is not always the most efficient approach with your list, it's sometimes the most effective, I think.
The other thing too is you always get credit for the invite. Everyone in the community thinks that you're doing something.
Yeah.
And everyone who didn't go but knows you're doing it doesn't know that only 5 people were there either.
That's right.
Right?
Exactly.
So there's a huge marketing perk just for people to know that you did this.
Exactly.
And that you're the type of company that does do stuff like that. And as far as they know, 100 people wouldn't. It was great.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.